Hello and welcome to another week of Out of the Box Gaming, where we talk about games. Why? Because we want to, and because we think that we have something to say that you may want to hear. I am your host, Nick Picard, and joining me, as always, is the one that is single and ready to mingle, Will Kinsey.
God. Hey, Nick.
Hey, Will, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Surprised by that introduction. It's been a wonderful week.
Yes, it has.
Well, guys, we want to force our love of games on you and maybe even to introduce you to something new. So let's get into some stuff. But first, we want to hear from you. So feel free to drop some topic ideas, maybe some discussion questions that you would love to hear from us.
Yeah. All right, so now this is, the time where we normally will welcome our producer, Lindsay, to start us off with our trivia question of the episode, but she isn't feeling well today, so she left the question for me to read. And I have it right here.
Oh.
All right, so the trivia question for this week is, besides Sonic, which other Sega character was a playable character in Super Smash Bros. 4? And I would assume Ultimate as well, since Smash Bros. Ultimate has all the characters. Because I think 4 was the one for the 3DS and the Wii U, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So.
Yeah.
Another Sega character. I didn't play a lot of Sega game. I played Sonic, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a tough one.
Yeah. If you guys want to think on that question, we'll come back at the end of the episode. And if you're watching live, go ahead and feel free to comment your answers, but remember, no cheating.
Yeah.
So Nick, what have you been playing this week?
Well, this week, Lindsay and I were on vacation, so I didn't get to play my normal amount. But I did get to play some other things. I did take the Switch with us, because, that's easy to, travel with. I played Animal Crossing. Have not really been playing a lot of Animal Crossing. I just basically get on and do like a daily thing of going to cut down my money tree and then find my money hole and then plant another money tree and then get my daily DIY recipe that's on the beach and then I'll go into the shop and look around, but that's basically it. I haven't really done anything new, even though there was an update at the beginning of this month where you can now swim around the island and go and collect things, so it's kind of cool.
That's fun.
Yeah. But I play a little of that. I did play a little Splatoon 2, because I've had the game since it came out, but I haven't really played much. I was just kind of doing the story mode that I had in there. I think I got through like the first world or level or whatever you want to call. But yeah. And then, that was most of the week. Oh, yeah. And Lindsay and I got a new game on the Switch. It's like Clubhouse Games or something. It has a bunch of like classic board games or card games on there. And then has some other games like billiards, bowling. So yeah, it's like, you remember Wii Bowling whenever Wii came out? Yeah, it has bowling on there. It's not as good as Wii Bowling. Lindsay and I tested it yesterday. It's not as good.
Yeah, Wii Bowling wasn't that great either.
Oh, well, I loved Wii Bowling.
It was super fun, but that was not an accurate portrayal of anyone's bowling skills.
Yeah, no. Oh, no. This has like the same way of it, but the pins are so stubborn and they will not fall down. Like, it was so difficult to get a strike on it, but yeah. So it's a pretty fun game. It gives you like 40 or 50 games on there, and it was $40. So, but we went through and we played every game on there that we could together. There's some games that are just single player. That's a lot of fun. I know. Let's see. We got back from vacation Thursday. Oh, well, real quick, we got to play games together because we got to see each other.
Yeah,
So yeah,
we did. We got to see each other for the first time in, gosh, what, 7 months? Over
yeah.
7 months?
Last time was what Christmas?
I think Christmas, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a while. We got to play Magic the Gathering. Well, you and I didn't really get to play that together.
We didn't get to play,
No.
which was disappointing.
Yeah.
I wanted you to see my new deck.
But we did play Jackbox games, and then what was that game that you brought that you and I played like 2 rounds of?
Yeah, so that was Corridor. I don't have it with me right now. It's actually downstairs. But there's a whole um series of games that are all spelled kind of weird. Like Corridor, it's spelled like Quoridor instead of how it should be spelled.
Mm-hmm.
But Corridor, Pylos, which is like this game where you stack balls in a pyramid. It's pretty fun. Quarto, uh, Quarto's like Connect Four, but on steroids.
No.
And then there's another one that neither me or Alex have played, but there's a series of 4 games, and they're all like just like that one, where the rules take maybe 30 seconds to a minute to explain,
Yeah.
and each game maybe lasts 5 to 10 minutes, depending on which game you're playing.
Yeah. I mean, the 2 games we played, it didn't take long.
Yeah,
But it was a fun strategic game.
Yeah, I do think that series of games got a shout out on our board games episode with Alex.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone is interested in looking at those, you can go check out that episode. We talked about a lot of awesome board games.
Yeah. Kind of wish
yeah,
that we would have got to play your Corridor game with 4 people.
Yes, I haven't gotten to play it with 4 people yet.
Because I feel like it would be more difficult.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it gets hectic.
Yeah, it's kind of like it kind of reminds me of I have 4-way chess. I don't know where it is, but I know I have it, and I played it like once or twice in college. And if you ever play chess, you just worry about the person across from you. But 4-way chess, there's a lot going on, and you have to try to focus on the people next to you, because they will just come out of nowhere and take things. So
yeah, gosh, that sounds wild.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, I know I played some Overwatch yesterday, finished my placements, and then the day before that played some Fortnite with Lindsay because there was new challenges. But yeah, that's basically what I've been playing this week. What have you been playing this past week, Will?
Well, not a whole lot. Still been sort of recovering from the move. But yes, we did get to play some Magic at our buddy Justin's house.
Yeah.
We kept it to less than 10 people, so we can't get in trouble for large gatherings or anything like that. But yeah, we got to play a little bit of Magic the Gathering. Got to see Ethan, who was on one of our episodes, but I haven't seen him in a while, so it was good to see him. And Joey, who I don't know if we've mentioned on the actual podcast before.
I know I've mentioned
he hasn't
story with him.
But yeah, we got to play a lot of games, have a social day, which I think we've both been needing.
Yeah.
Jackbox games were fun. Corridor was fun. Magic was fun. Other than that, mostly I've been playing some Kerbal Space Program over the last 2 or 3 days. I know last time I mentioned it, I was still struggling to get into orbit. I have managed to achieve orbit,
Hmm.
safe orbit. Um, so that is a huge accomplishment for me. I know some people think it's trivial, and now it's gotten to the point where I can get into orbit pretty reliably. Um, but yeah, it was exciting to actually send a little Kerbal into orbit.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't think I've gotten to orbit yet. I mean, last time I played was weeks ago when you taught me how to play.
Yeah, I hadn't gotten into orbit. I had built that jet. Like I spent a lot of time building a little jet,
Yeah.
which the runway that I had, I need to upgrade because a dirt runway and a little jet equals explosions most of the time. Um, but then I figured out about the different biomes. So you can do research and all kinds of stuff in the different biomes and get more science. Um, so I got a little bit more science and managed to get into orbit, um, which we can actually play some today if you'd like. I don't know how
Yeah.
busy you are with Sick Lindsay.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, before we go into other things, I do want to ask, how did your Magic games go? Because I don't think we actually talked about it. Because I know
Yeah, so I saw
y'all played like what 3 or 4 games compared to our
we
one.
we played 4 games, and I'm so sorry that you only got to play one, but at the
Yeah.
same time, that's probably why we didn't get to play together.
Yes.
Our games went well. Ethan won the first game with one of his decks. I think it was his the DC deck.
Okay.
Um, which his decks are weird, and I don't know what they do. I know several of them
I
deal with
know
self-mill and graveyard
I know
stuff.
one of his decks because I played it one of the last times Lindsay and I were in. It was his like aristocrats deck. Um, you know, the sacrifice creatures and it deals damage and all that stuff. You're not actually like swinging damage at
Oh,
people. You're doing it by killing off creatures and yeah.
yeah, direct damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I his decks are solid. They're really solid. But yeah, he won the first game, easy peasy. The second game, I won with my Abzan deck. I got the good old Walking Ballista, Heliod, Machias. Basically, it's an infinite damage combo
Okay.
where you remove +1/+1 counters from Walking Ballista to do damage to your opponent, and then you do damage to itself so that it kills itself. But because of Machias, which I don't remember like how to pronounce his name, so I feel like a dummy every time I say his name.
Oh, it's fine. I don't know how
But
to pronounce like over half the cards.
he gives all non-human creatures undying. So when they die, they come back with a +1/+1 counter. And Walking Ballista removes those +1/+1 counters to do the damage. So it's always dying and coming back because it loses the +1/+1 counter from undying. So it's an infinite combo where I
Okay.
just derp someone down. It's like a much more efficient version of the Pyromancy deck that you and I built, where I got the Amoeboid Changelings, the Mere Galvanizers, and the Pyromancer Apprentice or whatever, and just kept tapping and untapping to deal 1 damage.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a far more efficient way of doing that. But that's how I won the second game. And then I think I'm fairly certain Alex won one of them, but I know Ethan won another one.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, y'all had 4 games compared to our one, which
Yeah.
luckily with the one I ended up winning, but our friend Joey was just taking forever on his turns, but he was playing a deck that wasn't his. And yeah, he
Oh, was
was
he playing one of
just
Ethan's
no, he
decks?
was playing one of
Oh,
Justin's decks,
Justin.
and it
Justin usually
was
has very synced decks.
And it was it was Visit Niv
Nib
Visit.
Mizzet.
Yeah,
Yeah, Instants and Sorceries.
yeah, that's what Joe was playing, and yeah,
Well, that should have been fast. Although, if you don't know the deck for a Niv Mizzet deck, you have to like learn everything
yeah, he did.
every turn. So I can see how that can take a while.
Yeah, and then the thing is, Justin told him to play that deck, and then it caused Justin to not be able to go as quick or do things that he wanted to do with his deck. But yeah, I really don't even know exactly what Justin was playing. But yeah, I was playing big old beefy dragons. And
Dragons.
yeah, I did a lot of cool things. I had Sarkon Vol out, and his ult was you'd put 5/4/4 red dragon creatures with flying onto the field. And I also had Parallel Lives out. So whenever I activated his ult, instead of getting 5, I got 10 because of Parallel Lives. And then I also had this one card. It's an artifact. It gives your creatures like flying, first strike, haste, vigilance, and protection from black and red creatures, I think. It's like a 7-cost artifact. And so whenever that happened, Justin couldn't block me or Joey couldn't block me. So I swung half of the dragons at Justin and then half at Joey, and I killed Joey off. And then Justin had another turn, and he almost got me down from his shenanigans. It was like he was playing like with some like a discard like mechanics where it was dealing damage when you had to discard and all that stuff. But yeah, so then the round got back to me, and I was able to kill Justin and then Lindsay off. And yeah,
Go
on.
Chroma's Memorial, I think, is that artifact.
Yeah.
Cost.
Yeah,
It's such a good addition to any commander deck.
yeah. Yeah, and apparently, whenever I was playing some cards, Justin was like, you have like, a lot of money worth of cards, like with just these like 2. I was like, oh, really? I had no idea. I've had these cards in this deck for like years because that was like the first commander deck I built.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was a lot of fun being able to play Magic in person and not just, online or anything. So
Yeah.
Right.
I'm glad you got to win the one game that you played.
I know. Yeah, but after that, I was deciding that I need to fix Lindsay's deck, that commander deck that she was using, because that was one that we just kind of threw together, and all the cards that she has in there is from like the set and before, and the set it was back in college, so there's been a lot of sets that's came out, so there's a lot of cards that would be better to put in that deck. So we'll definitely be working on that soon. But yeah, well, I think it's time for us to get into it. So, right now, we're a little halfway over, the year of 2020. And since we're a little halfway over, I wanted to talk a little bit about some possible Game of the Year games. So, now, for your listeners, which this was also news to me, the way that a Game of the Year works is there's a board of nominees, 6 games that came out prior to the cutoff date in November. After the nominees are released, the winner is selected by a combined vote consisting of 90% from the votes from nominee board and 10% by online fan voting, which I'm not really sure why it's such a little percentage of fans. Not really sure. I feel like they could bump that up. But yeah, only 10% of fans get to vote. So yeah, that's kind of weird way for them to do the Game of the Years, but I mean, I have not really been disappointed of the games that they have picked for Game of the Year. Just to look back at some of the ones that we've had in the past. If you listeners haven't heard of them, back in like 2014, we had Dragon Age Inquisition. I mean, that was a fun game. I didn't really get into it. It was really cool, big game, single player. I tried playing it whenever it first came out. Couldn't get into it. Tried again another time, couldn't get into it. And I think it was within the past like couple years, I still had it, and I was like, I really want to play this. So I tried it again. I had a different mindset, and then I picked a different character from the other characters I played. And I very much enjoyed it more. But then as I got like a little further ways into it, I was like, this game is more enjoyable, but it's a very long game and it takes a lot of time. So it'll take a lot of my time to actually, get through it. And there was other games that I really wanted to play. I was like, I don't really think I want to invest my time into this game compared to other games that I have. So I decided to just not play it. But I did enjoy it the last time that I played. Will, did you ever play that game?
Unfortunately, I did not. It always looked really interesting to me, but
Yeah.
I've got this weird thing where it's hard for me to just jump into the middle of a series or the end of a series.
Yeah, I
Like,
never
I
played any
have
of
to
them
go
before.
back. And I never went back and played the old Dragon Age games, so I never played Inquisition. Um, and the same is true for several games that I think we're going to end up mentioning today. So I've got a lot to do over the next couple months.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I never played the Dragon Age games before, but that one interests me. But yeah, it was a good game. I feel like it was a well deserved like game of the year. Um, I mean, compared to the some of the other ones that they had to compete, which for that year of 2014, Dragon Age, like we said, won, but it had to go against Middle Earth: Shadow of Mordor, which I
Oh,
wasn't
wow.
I wasn't a big fan of that game, to be honest. Like
Really?
I tried get like I like Lord of the Rings and all that stuff, but I just wasn't feeling the gameplay and all that stuff, and I don't know why. Um,
Are we thinking of the same game? That's the Assassin's Creed one, right? With the
it's it's
random progression orcs and everything?
yeah, Lord of the Rings, Assassin's Creed. Yeah,
God, that was such a good
I
game,
I
dude.
know a lot of people really liked it, and I got it and I played it some. I did, but I just wasn't feeling it. I don't know why.
What was it?
Um,
The Nemesis system with the Uruks
I
was
bel
so good. Like the randomly generated orcs, but then you could find some measly little pipsqueak orc and accidentally get killed by him, and like he becomes like
sh-
some
sh-
special dude.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it was really like that was cool and stuff. I don't know what it was, but I just wasn't feeling the game. Um, I mean, maybe one day I'll go back and try it again. I don't know.
I didn't get to play the new one, but if the new one's anything like the old one, you should play the new one.
Okay.
Right
Um,
after just saying I never play from the middle of a series, I
yeah,
always go
yeah.
back and play the first one.
And then there was also Hearthstone that came out that year. That was a fun, new card game. Dark Souls 2. Never really played Dark Souls. I know a lot of people love the series. And then
Absolutely love it.
I don't really Bayonetta 2. Never played it. Um, but I mean that
I,
was
I
like
didn't know there was a Bayonetta 2.
yeah,
I feel
apparently
terrible about that.
yeah.
I just thought there
Um,
was the one Bayonetta. Actually, there's probably a bunch of different Bayonetta games, actually.
yeah. And then I'll move on to this whole previous year thing. And then the next year, 2015, there was Witcher 3. Haven't really played it much. I played like maybe an hour of it. It's another game like Dragon Age, where it's a long single player game. Which I love those kind of games, like the RPGs. Like it's a good way to spend a lot of time in games if you have the time. I still have The Witcher 3 like on my list to play. But I mean, I don't know. And that one, Witcher 3 beat out Bloodborne, which was another game kind of like Dark Souls. Fallout 4, never really a big fan of the Fallout games. I tried to get into, I think it was 4. I think I tried to get in 3,
Fallout.
couldn't get in 3. And then I never played it until 4 because I saw 4 and I was like, oh, this looks pretty good. And I tried and I just could not get into the Fallout games.
If I'm not mistaken, Fallout 4 is widely considered the worst Fallout game. It's either 4 or
Yeah.
3, but I actually played Fallout 4
I th-
in VR, and VR Fallout 4 is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was 4 that had so much backlash and stuff. I remember watching our friend Ryan play it. And it looked cool and stuff, but whenever I played, I was like, "Man, I can't get into this."
Yeah, I've always been entertained by the Fallout universe, but the games have never really struck a really hard chord with me.
Yeah. And then there was Metal Gear Solid 5, which I've never played the Metal Gear Solid games. My roommate in college, Ethan, which we had him on the show a couple weeks ago, he loves the Metal Gear Solid games. And I remember,
I forgot that you enjoyed those.
yeah, and I remember when we were first roommates, whenever I had a PlayStation 3, he goes, "Hey, if I buy this game, can I play it on your system?" I was like, "Oh yeah, absolutely." And I would come in from class some days and he would just be sitting in front of the TV and not like playing, he would just be watching because the Metal Gear games are very heavy cutscene and they're like long cutscenes. I remember he was saying that there was like one cutscene it took like 40 minutes or something to get through. And I was like, geez. So I guess that for him, it was like, a big movie or like television series as he plays a game. So it's kind of cool. And then there was the Super Mario Maker, which, I mean, those were some good games, but I can see where The Witcher would definitely win that year. Next year, 2016, that had some good games. Overwatch was the winner, which, obviously I'm going to say I totally agree with that because Overwatch is one of my favorite games. It was, even though, like, from the other games that we mentioned that won, like, the years before, this was one that was just solely a online multiplayer, which was, like, kind of cool.
Say that's surprising based on, like, the type of game it is.
Yeah, which we'll get into a discussion about, like, types of games with Game of the Year. And then it beat out Doom, Inside, which I never heard of Inside, Titanfall 2, and then Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, which, I mean, based on the previous winners, I'm surprised that Uncharted 4 didn't win because it's one of those long, single player, story-based games. But
yeah.
And then the next year, no doubt, like, cannot disagree with this at all. In 2017, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild won Game of the Year. Oh, if you have not played that game, that is a beautiful, beautiful, long, great game to play. Man. I know I got it when it first came out. One of my friends gave it to me. I didn't really play it much then, but I know it was within, I think, like this past year. I was like, you know what? I want to play this. I sat down and I played that, and I was just hooked from playing it. And it was like, mornings I would wake up, early enough where Lindsay wouldn't get up, and I would just go in the living room and I would play for hours. And it's a great, like, RPG game. Very much free roam, a lot to do. I mean, I didn't do everything in the game, but it would take a long time to do everything because I think there's like these Korok seeds. There's like 400 of them or something. Yeah, I didn't.
There's a large amount of them.
Yeah, I did not collect. I don't even know if I collected 100 of them. But yeah, it's a great game. Which, I mean, did you play that game?
I did.
Okay.
I didn't get to play any of the expansions. I only played the base game, so I never got to
I
motorcycle or anything like
Yeah,
that.
I haven't played the expansions. I just played the base game. I don't know if I will get the expansion. Maybe one day if it goes
Yeah.
on sale. But
I um I had watched I had seen Alex play a lot of it. I had watched people play the story. So when I finally got to play it, I didn't really play through the story. Like I obviously did a lot of the storyline,
yeah,
but most of what I did was just goofing off, messing around, and playing with physics
okay,
because that was super fun in that game.
okay. I just want to kind of quickly get through the rest of these. But Legend of Zelda beat out like Horizon Zero Dawn, another great game. Persona
Mhm.
5, I hear is like one of the best JRPG games to play or ever come out.
Yeah.
Player Unknown Battlegrounds or PUBG, what people will say. Super Mario Odyssey, that was another great game. The next year, this is probably one of the better years of games that came out. It's 2018. The game of the year for that was God of War. Great game. Oh man, that was a great game. There was Assassin's Creed Odyssey that it beat. Celeste. I never played Celeste. Um, there was Marvel's Spider-Man, also a great game, very
Oh
much
yeah,
enjoyable.
indeed.
Monster Hunter World could not get into. I was not a fan. And then Red Dead Redemption 2. That's another great game. That was a really good year of games. Like
That's
for
yeah,
yeah,
solid list.
yeah,
Very
that yeah.
solid
And
list.
then what we have for this past year, Shadows Die Twice. I don't know how to say the first name of it.
Sekiro.
Yeah, Shadows Die Twice won. It beat out Control, which I never played. I heard it was good. Different. Maybe I'll get it. Try it out one day. Death Stranding, Resident Evil 2, Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, and The Outer Worlds. So,
Mm.
with from what you have seen or heard, like from these previous ones, do you have like any predictions on what you think could potentially win Game of the Year this year so far from what we've
So
seen?
there's a couple of very solid, obvious ones out there. Now, okay, so are we talking games that have already been released?
We can talk about games that have already been released, and we can mention games that are coming out that we think could be a contender, but we still don't really know because, I mean, we haven't played them.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there is one that I want to mention, but I'll wait until later.
Okay.
So for already released, so there's well, I just have to make sure. Yeah, okay. It was. Yeah, Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, that just came out like a couple of weeks
Yeah.
ago, I think.
I feel like that will be a very solid contender. I still haven't gone back and played Last of Us 1, so I haven't played Last of Us 2 yet.
100%
Um,
agree with you on that.
but I have seen some very awesome videos and heard nothing but great things. So I feel like that's going to get a solid nomination.
Well, I mean, I've heard bad things, but I'm pretty sure that's from from people that just want to hate. Because sadly, we have those kind of people in the world.
Yes, yes. We do. Um, Actually, I have two that I'm gonna end up mentioning later. The next one, it kind of got a mention earlier, but not really. So the initial Doom remake got beat out. But this year, who knows? Doom Eternal may get a decent nomination.
Yeah, from what I've seen, like Doom Eternal was a much better game compared to Doom 2016.
Yeah,
Um,
I've heard great things. there was another game that came out around the same time. I'm not remembering which one it was, but I know they had sort of conflicting release dates, and several of our friends were going back and forth between the two games at the time.
Okay.
So I don't remember which game that was, but Doom Eternal kind of
when was it that
sticks in my mind more.
When was it that Doom Eternal came out?
I want to say it was back in February or March, right?
So around the time the pandemic hit hard around us.
Yeah. It was March. So
20.
Animal Crossing was the other one. Everyone was playing Animal Crossing and Doom Eternal.
Yeah.
Which Animal Crossing was going to be the next one that I was going to mention, although there hasn't really been a game similar to that that's been named Game of the Year. Which, yeah, I guess that kind of relates into what we were sort of mentioning, of unusual game types being made Game of the Year.
Did we want to talk about that real quick about game types,
or do you want? I guess we could.
Or do you want to?
But I want to hear your thoughts for what games are going to be, or at least games that'll be nominated that have come out.
So, I said there was six games that get nominated. Is it 6 or 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 was last year. 6 was the year before. Okay, we're just going to say 6.
Yeah, 6.
This is going to be difficult to get it down to 6 because there's been a lot of games that has came out that's been really good. Yeah, Animal Crossing, it's good. A lot of people played it, and it definitely got released at the perfect time. You know, unfortunate for the circumstances of the whole pandemic, but it was released at, a great time because a lot of people couldn't go anywhere, so they were home, so they would play this game. Because I know around this time, Switches were really hard to find because people were buying consoles. And then whenever this game came out, just everyone was playing it. It was a way to go and visit other people in their island or whatever, be social without actually getting to be social or going out. They got to do it from a Switch. Yeah. It's a great game. Hopefully they'll be adding more stuff because, eventually you do get to the point where not a lot to do. I mean, you still could do stuff, but I mean, for me, it just hasn't really been as much fun as whenever I first started to play. But it was a great game. I definitely could see where it could be a contender. Final Fantasy VII Remake. I want to get this game. Lindsay said I can get this game. Now that I've beaten some of the games that were on my backlog, I just haven't yet, and I have a game coming out next week that I'm going to pick up. Which I'll mention later. Yeah, but I mean, I did play the demo of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Very fun. The combat, they definitely improved on it. They did a really good job on this remake. Another game I know people liked, but I haven't really heard much. I know it's kind of popular. Is Neo 2. I don't really know much about the Neo games, but I know that was one that a lot of people were wanting. There's also Persona 5 Royal, which is basically Persona 5, but I guess improved. I don't really know much. And then you said Doom Eternal. That's another one. I know I'm probably saying more than 6, but I'm just kind of mentioning ones that I think could be a contender. And then I'll say what ones I think would definitely be one. There was it Ori and the Will of the Wisp.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I haven't played the first one yet. I played a little demo of the first one. This was the next one, and I know a lot of people like the game. There was a game Dreams that came out for PlayStation, which was a very interesting game where you basically can build anything you want, from my understanding. Which I think, it's different, very popular. It's a great way for creators to, you know, like create and share their designs. Um, but yeah, so those are some of the popular ones. And then we have Last of Us Part 2 that you mentioned. I'm just going to go ahead and say I absolutely 100% think that is going to be one of the contenders. Don't know if it will win because we still got some games coming out.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely think that will be in it. Potentially could win. Um, and then we have, like I said, there's a game coming out next week that I am going to pick up, and it's Ghost of Tsushima. I think I said that
Yes.
right. It looks good. I'm excited for it. It's like a samurai Assassin's Creed type thing. I know in the game there's like two different ways that you can play as the character. You can play as the like traditional samurai for the combat, or you can go and be this new way that this character had to like new combat for him to fight to be able to win, and it's like a more stealth approach. So like
Call the ghost.
like Assassin's Creed or Batman, like those type of games, like stealthy taking out people and all that stuff. Yeah, like whenever I first saw the preview of this game at E3 of I don't even remember how many years ago it was, I was hooked. I was like, this looks very interesting. I'm looking forward to playing it. We haven't really had a samurai game before that I know of or that I played. I mean, I played samurai characters in For Honor, but
Right.
I mean that's just a fighting game. So, and then let's see, we also have Cyberpunk 2077 that's going to be coming out later.
Yes.
Which personally, for me, I feel like that game is too overhyped. I'm not at all interested really much in that game.
But
But
Keanu Reeves, man.
yeah, I know. But I mean, a lot of people, I know a lot of people are really looking forward to this game, but I just feel like it's like overhyped, like very much overhyped. If the hype wasn't as big, I'd probably be like, somewhat interested, but it's not one that I, would definitely want to get whenever it comes out. And real quick on the side note,
Yes.
and I'm like get a little annoyed by this. So this game has been pushed back several times. If you didn't know that, and
Which one?
Cyberpunk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I saw something, and it's true. Anytime like normally a game gets pushed back, people are like, oh, this game is going to suck, like there's a lot of stuff they didn't fix, like blah blah blah. Like people are like bashing the people for pushing back the game.
Mhm.
And it's like, and I'm thinking like, if they feel like they need to make it better or they want to improve it to give you a better experience, then, by all means, like, yes, it sucks that they had to push it back. But also, we've also had this pandemic going around that's pushed things back. But I know Last of Us got pushed back a little bit, and I think some of it was because of the pandemic, and people were just bashing it, like them for pushing it back. And I mean, it's not just that game. A lot of games or any game, people like get on to them for just pushing back games and all that stuff. But anytime, from what I've seen, Cyberpunk gets pushed back, people are like, "Oh yeah, like absolutely, just take your time, with it. Like we know you're going to give us something good. Like do what you need to do." It's like, well, why are you being so nice to this? But any other game, you're like, "Oh no, it's going to suck." Like I don't understand. I thought it was funny, but yeah.
I do kind of see where you're coming from with that. I guess because Cyberpunk is like it's very unique in an odd way, and it's got a lot of aesthetic. Like I don't think people are really even looking at the game so much. They're just like loving the aesthetic, and they're like
Yeah.
patiently waiting just to be able to play in that world. Um, but I see where you're coming from
Yeah,
with that.
I just thought it was funny.
Question real quick.
Yeah.
So the cutoff is November. Do we know what the date in November is?
I'm not really sure. I I feel like Borderlands 3 was in the cutoff where it could be part of this year. And I know that was a game a lot of people really enjoyed. I mean, I enjoyed it. I haven't done the expansions or whatever that they have with it. Because I had an old coworker that I would play the game with, and I just haven't got around to playing with him on it. But I feel like that was a game that I think is could be part of the 2020 Game of the Year.
Yeah, I was about to mention because I don't know if it got nominated last year,
No, it
but
wasn't. That's why.
well, the game I'm about to mention,
Oh,
Death Stranding.
yeah, it was. It was nominated last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it.
Um,
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was nominated last year with because I thought that one was going to win, but then Shadows Die Twice came out of nowhere.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Death Stranding is like I haven't gotten to play it yet, but it looks wonderful,
Yeah,
and it's being released for PC next week.
yeah.
So I think it might be the same day that Ghost of Tsushima is coming out. No, no, it's coming out July 14th, so 3 days before Ghost of
Yeah.
Tsushima comes out.
Um, and then so what I said, Cyberpunk that's coming out later. We also have Marvel's Avengers that's coming out later this year. I don't think that will be one of them though. One of the contenders.
Um,
No. Um, yeah. I mean, we have some get like I think Assassin's Creed Valhalla is supposed to be coming out later this year. Um, that could be a contender.
yeah.
Um, I know we had Valorant that came out this year. Um, yeah, we had Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. I know a lot of people enjoyed that. Yeah, we have a good amount of games coming out. Also,
Let's
I
not
bet.
sleep on the real contender, though. Paper Mario, the Origami King.
Yeah. Sadly, I don't think that's going to be one of the contenders. Um, and then oh yeah, there was a Hyperscape that is Ubisoft's battle royale, but I don't think that will.
Oh yeah,
Don't think
I
it will be a
forgot.
contender.
Probably
We'll
not.
get to this in a second. There's also Half-Life Alex that came out.
Dude, that I so need to play it because it looks incredible. Like even for a VR game, it looks incredible.
So, I guess we'll kind of start going into you know what we think should be nominated for Game of the Year. So, Half-Life Alex is a VR game, and
Hmm.
do you think VR games potentially could be a Game of the Year?
Not currently because VR is not as easily accessible. Well,
Yeah,
quality VR is not as easily accessible as it needs to be to have its games qualify for Game of the Year,
yeah,
in my opinion. That being said, every single thing that I have seen of Half-Life Alex looks so good,
yeah,
so incredible. Like the attention to detail in that game is so wild. Like you can pick up a random bucket and catch head crabs in the bucket. Like there's all kinds of just insane environmental things that they paid such great attention to.
yeah,
Um, like anything, they've got those, what are they, the barnacles that hang down the little tongues from the ceiling, and whatever they grab, they snatch up. You can throw pretty much anything into their tongues and they'll like snatch it up. So you can like throw it like a propane tank into like the tongue and it'll grab it and pull it up and then it'll blow up and drop some loot for you, I think. But yeah, that game for the amount of stuff that you can do in it, I would say it could be nominated, but simply for the fact that virtual reality has not broken into more homes yet,
Yeah.
I don't think it will get a nomination. But the game deserves a nomination.
I mean, it might be nominated. It won't. It wouldn't win. I mean, from what I said before, it was like 90%. 90% is from, what was it from? The board, and then 10% from the fans. So I mean, 90%.
I'm not sure how that works, but they probably look at like money. Really.
Yeah. But I mean,
like what games brought in the most money.
Yeah. And I personally have never played Half-Life, like any of those games, but I hear there was a lot of good things about this one, even though it's VR, and I personally haven't done VR. But I mean, there's some games that I would like to do in VR, but I just haven't got around to getting a headset and getting those games. I mean, one, I wear glasses. I don't know how well that would work.
It's actually not that bad.
Okay.
I'm sure some of the more updated systems are better, but I have the old school Oculus Rift, and I have had so many people with glasses play on my system. Like Alex has played on it. My roommate Dan has played on it, and my old roommate Dom has played on it. Even Ethan, I think, had glasses on when he was playing. Because it's not like it's really weird the way it sort of tricks your eyes. If you wear glasses, you actually do end up needing to wear glasses in the thing.
Yeah.
Even though the screen's like right there in front of you. But I'm sure some of the more updated headsets accommodate glasses better.
Yeah.
But they do fit, and it can be done. It just might be a little uncomfortable.
Okay. But yeah. So
yeah.
So you VR games, you don't think, well, you think some games should be considered, but don't think they would win?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the amount of stuff that you can do in a VR game, in several VR games now, far surpasses what you can do in just a normal, PC or console game.
Yeah.
And then the amount of depth in story added onto that is sometimes equivalent to a PC or console game. So, in my opinion, the amount of effort and the amount of detail and creativity that goes into those high tier VR games like Half-Life Alyx really deserves to be, highlighted and really deserves a nomination at least. But simply because VR is not there yet, I don't think they'll get it. But I do think they deserve it.
Maybe in years to come, we'll get a VR game as Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Now, what about remakes or remastered version of games? Do you think those should be even considered? Because
See, that's what I was thinking with the Final Fantasy remake. It's such a different game from
that
what it
one
used to be.
That one is a completely different game, and I can see where that one's okay. But ones where it's like just a remake, like for example, we know later this year we're getting the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. It's, from my understanding, it's just going to be that same game, but I guess updated. And I feel like with, the remakes or remasters of games, that they should be considered because they were initially released at a previous year, and that should have been the year that they would be like a contender. But yeah,
and for most of those, I don't believe they would be of the caliber to end up getting nominated. Like we got what was it? Star Wars Episode 1 Racer.
Yeah.
And like we've gotten a few re-releases, remasters, remakes. But I don't think any of those games would ever reach the point of Game of the Year. But then like the complete overhaul remakes like Final Fantasy VII, where it is truly just a completely different game.
Yeah.
I feel like they deserve consideration because the team did go and keep the spirit alive of that original game, but they did completely create a new game. It was just, pretty much the story that they kept, right?
I think, but I don't even think it had the full story compared to the first one.
Yeah, there were definitely bits changed. So it is a different game. And so I think there's that gray area where
I guess for that they use remake since it is a remake of the game, and remastered is just a better version, like updated version of a game.
Yeah.
So then with that said, Resident Evil 3 that did come out this year, do you think like it just should not be a contender at all? Because that was just a remastered or like remade version of the third one from, I want to say, 99. Yeah, it is a remake of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis of 1999. So honestly, I don't think it should be a contender. I mean, I don't know if it plays like any different, if it's anything like on the level of Final Fantasy VII Remake. I mean, if it's basically the same game,
it would be a contender.
Yeah. If it's basically the same game, then I absolutely don't think it should be a contender at all.
But I don't know enough about it to know if it's absolutely the same game, or if it's different. I think it was sort of halfway there. It wasn't completely overhauled like Final Fantasy, but I do believe they did some serious remaking.
Okay. I mean, is there certain games that you think should be in like game type as a game of the year? Like you would constantly always want to see this game type as always a contender, or ones that you don't think should really be a contender?
I don't think that unless they're incredibly like innovative and different, I don't think that milsim first person shooters should really get an eye at all.
I would think
like Call of Duty is just kind of like,
heck.
They're probably going to end up like they'll probably talk about Warzone or something like that.
I absolutely do not think that should be a contender at all. Heck to the
But I don't think it should, because like Call of Duty's Call of Duty. We all like enjoy Call of Duty, but really they haven't had an original like, wow, this is awesome since I was in like high school.
Yeah. I feel like if it's going to be like a first person shooter, it needs to be something new, original, different. I guess that was why Overwatch won back in 2016. Because it was new, it was different, it was the objective base game, first person shooter, but you had different abilities and and that was, and like we said before, that was just a just multiplayer, beating out games that, from what we have seen, is typically the single player RPG games that normally win.
Yeah.
I mean, with that said, I don't think Valorant would even, be a contender. Yes, it came out,
Yeah, I
and
don't
it's a little
think
different, but it's
really.
just a combination of like Overwatch and CS:GO. Um, I mean, from what I'm looking at, or what I feel that should be game of the year, each year is something that is exciting, um, is I guess a little bit different from other games, um, and a very like engaging. Like I like that it's the single player games. Yes, a lot of people play the multiplayer games, but I don't feel like those are ones that are like deserve game of the year, because
Yeah.
I feel like it's the single player games are the ones that I feel like the developers or all that, they're the ones that, put a lot of time and effort in making that game, a like a great creation in their
Yeah.
eyes, and it's something that they worked hard on to bring like a story or new story out, like for others to enjoy, kind of like movies and all that stuff where new movies come out and they want to make a movie that's engaging for people to enjoy, and it's a story that you want to invest your time in and all that. So
Exactly.
so I feel like, it needs to be a, single player game mostly. That's why, I feel like Last of Us Part 2 or Final Fantasy 7, Ghost of Tsushima, those could be ones. Um
Yeah. You
I
want
mean,
something with a heavy, engaging story.
yeah. Honestly, one that I think could be like definitely could be a contender just because it was different is Dreams, which I talked about before, because it was the one where it's ways for like creators to express themselves and share their creations to other people. Um so I mean, I don't know if you've seen much about it.
I am looking it up right now.
Um,
Dreams.
because I know at one point, whenever we talked about the Simpsons Hit and Run, someone in Dreams recreated that game inside of
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Um, it's just it's a creation. From what I see, Dreams is a game creation system, so it's like it's a different game, and that's why I feel like that one could be a contender. I don't know if it'll win, compared to some of the other like great games that have came out, but I feel like that one should be a contender because it's not just like, yes, developers made it where other people can create things, but now we're just seeing what, you know, normal people like from day to day that don't do stuff with video games, what they can create. Um, and I just think that's really cool and different.
Yeah, that definitely I 100% agree. I was actually going to mention that one of the like two of the large, sort of genres or groups of games that I really like to see in Game of the Year, or at least like that I like to see get popular, are the strong story-driven
Yeah.
cinematic games almost, and then also sandbox games.
Yeah.
Games that, don't even necessarily have to have a story, but allow the player to engage their creativity in any number of ways. Um, I really think those, which are quite often like indie games and stuff like that, which is interesting, but I feel like those should also get a closer look when
Yeah.
the voting happens.
Yeah. I mean, I know, like, I think Game of the Year is like, the big like game, like this is the Game of the Year, but I think there's other things they have like Game of the Year, like they may have like first person shooter of the year, or indie game of the year and all that stuff. But I mean, Game of the Year is the big one. Um, so Yeah, and then I was trying to think if there was any other type of game that I feel like should never really be considered as a nominee for Game of the Year, but I think I said it
Sports
all.
games.
Sports games. Yeah, definitely not. They're unless it is something completely different, like a different kind of
Yes.
sport or something. Because I know back whenever the GameCube was out, there was Quidditch, the World Cup. I mean, we never actually played Quidditch in real life like that, so I mean, it was different, but that was definitely not going to be a Game of the Year winner. So, um,
Yeah. Like I mean, there's stuff like Rocket League. That's technically, I guess, that's like a sports game.
yeah,
Um, like there's fun sports games, but then there's just like Madden and like NBA 2K and MLB The Show and
yeah,
all of
no,
those where it's like the same game rehashed every year with a little bit of updates to like character stats
yeah,
because the player did a little bit better last season.
yeah. And
It
if
it's yeah.
and if any of y'all, listening like sports games, I
You could
suggest
stop listening.
I suggest just buying a sport game every 2 or 3 years, because each year is just basically the same thing. 2 years it might be something
Do it
like a
every
little
5
different.
years.
Yeah, 5 years.
Just pick the one with your favorite player on the cover and just
Yeah,
keep that game for the rest of your life because it's not going to be any different than the rest of them.
yeah. Real quick, I forgot to mention this game. Haven't played it, but you know, definitely I think could win is SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom.
Oh, dude. I think I might have just blocked that out of my memory. Like I forgot that was a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, man, like halfway through, we already got some good games to that could be considered. We still have like a little less than half a year to go for
Yeah.
more games to come out. Um, but so far, I guess what would be, I mean, I guess you mentioned it before, but after discussing it more, what are your, I guess, should we say three, or do you want to do all six that you
I
think
don't know
would
if I
absolutely?
have 6.
We'll just say
A,
three or
a
four.
solid 6. All
Three or
right.
four that you think absolutely would be in, and then you can say, a winner.
So, I do think Cyberpunk will be a nominee.
Yeah.
Um, I do think Ghost of Tsushima will be a nominee. And I do think Last of Us Part 2 will be a nominee. And honorable mention to both Paper Mario, The Origami King, and Lego Star Wars, The Skywalker Saga.
I'm looking forward to that one. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to get that one.
Oh, I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play the crap
Yeah.
out of it. I don't think it'll get anywhere close to a nomination for Game of the Year, but
Yeah.
definitely looking forward to it. What are your top 3 or 4
I may go
and
over.
special nominees or special mentions,
I may
honorable
go.
mentions?
I may go over, but yeah, Last of Us Part 2 definitely.
Mhm.
100%. Cyberpunk, I think it will get in there because it's already overhyped, and I feel like people are just going to praise it.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII Remake, I definitely think it will be in there.
I can definitely see it getting a nomination.
Yeah.
Like, even though it's the quote unquote remake, I can
Yeah.
definitely see them nominating it.
I'm not sure about Ghost of Tsushima. I think it will be not like a nominee. It definitely will probably be considered like in the voting, but I don't know. Not sure about it. We'll have to see. And then that was what? That was 4. And then I'll give like honorable mention to Animal Crossing.
Mm.
And oh man. I guess Dreams. I was going to say Doom Eternal, but I want to go with Dreams. So
Nice. Excellent.
yeah, but we'll see. May um touch on this again, like as more games come out. If we think anything new will be in there, or if we change what we think our game of the year is. But yeah, um, yeah, we're getting low on time here, so we're just gonna go ahead and I guess go back to that trivia question.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I hope you guys have been thinking about that trivia question, because I don't even remember what it was. But it is time to give our answers. So, Nick, can you
Yeah.
go ahead and read us back that trivia question?
Yeah. So that trivia question was, besides Sonic, which other Sega character was a playable character in Super Smash Bros. 4? Which I'll say also in Ultimate, because, like I said before, I'm pretty positive every character from the previous games are playable in Ultimate. So, I have no idea. I played a lot of Smash Brothers, but 4 it was definitely the one that it was the 3DS and Wii U one that came out. So it was the one before Ultimate.
Yeah, so the whole Sega, Nintendo, there's characters that I don't know if I know what side they're on.
Yeah.
So who should answer first?
I don't know. I don't remember who. I think I answered first last week because I had no idea.
Okay.
Because it was that Pocket Monster thing, and I totally forgot about it until you said it, and I was like, oh yeah, it is that.
Yeah, the Pocket Monsters. Gosh.
I have no idea because I can't figure out the set like you said between Sega and Nintendo.
Dude. Just trying to remember which ones were Sega.
I'm just trying to think of all the Sega games. Was I know discussing it with you may jar answers, but was Mega Man Sega, or was that just?
That's what I'm thinking, but so okay, there's, gosh, this is so cheese. Okay, I'm just gonna give an answer.
Okay.
Were any of the other Sonic characters in that game?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't remember playing as Tails, Knuckles, any of them.
Yeah, dude, I gotta wait.
Hold on.
There's
Hold on.
yeah, no.
No,
I have
that's
to
not.
go with. Oh,
I don't know.
do you have something? Do you have something?
I mean, you can give your answer, and
You
then
wanna
I'm gonna,
give me
and
an
then
easy
and then,
answer?
and then I want to ask you.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna go with Mega Man. I know that's
Okay.
not right, but I'm gonna go with Mega Man.
Was Pac-Man Sega?
No, I don't
Okay.
think he was. No.
Okay, because that was one I just thought about because I can't remember if I played Pac-Man on Sega Genesis or not.
I think because there's Nintendo, Sega, Namco. Oh, no, I'm wrong. Mega Man's Capcom.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know.
What about Duck Hunter?
Oh, the Duck Hunt dog?
Yeah, the Duck Hunt dog.
That might be it. I think Duck Hunt was Nintendo. Oh, no, it might be Sega.
You know what? I'll give that
No, but
answer.
the laser gun. The Nintendo laser gun.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why I'm helping you.
I don't know.
Why am I helping you?
I have no idea. I mean, you gave Mega Man. I mean, I'll go with Pac-Man because I thought of it, and I don't. Yeah, I know it's wrong, but let's see. I feel foolish It's Bayonetta.
I should have known that, but
Because
yeah,
I was over here thinking, I'm like,
game.
I was like, I know there was Bayonetta 2 that we talked about. I was like, I know you could play her in there, but I don't know if she's Sega or Nintendo. And I was like, you know what? I'll just say that she's Nintendo. But whatever. That was a tough one.
That was a really tough one.
Yeah.
Way to go, Lindsay.
Yeah,
if
good
you're
job.
out there somewhere, thank you.
Yeah.
Good question.
All right, so we're just going to go ahead and wrap up this episode. We want you to be able to contact us and check us out on other media platforms. So, Will, where can listeners find you?
They can't, but they can hear me on the podcast on our YouTube channel, Out of the Box Gaming. Our Discord is linked there on the channel. We sometimes hang out in here. We like to post memes and talk about games and stuff. We also have Instagram at OOTB_gaming. And our Twitter handle is at GamingOOTB. Check out our Patreon and all of the fantastic perks that you can unlock there as well.
Yeah, speaking of Patreon, we want to say thanks to our Collector Edition Patreon, Cody Watkins. If you want to find me, you can find me on YouTube, Mixer, which soon you won't be able to on Mixer,
R.I.P.
Twitch, and Instagram at Ace King King. And then you can find me on Twitter at AceKingKing77.
Please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, a follow, a review on the podcast on whichever platform that you found us on. For some reason, the algorithms really like when you comment, so leave a comment. Tell us, what your answer was for the trivia question. Let us know if you got it right or wrong. But yeah, thanks for listening, and please join us next week.
Yeah, all right, this has been Out of the Box Gaming with Nick Picard and Will Kinsey. Thanks for playing along.